Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into the North Main Minute. I'm Joshua Doby. A conversation that we have, let's call it with increasing regularity, with clients has to do with the idea of teaching the next generation, kids, and maybe 2 generations out, grandkids, about the importance of finances. Now, you may have experience where somebody has taught you well, or you were able to get that from a school experience or college experience of some kind. But for us, we don't see that very often here at North Main Financial Group. So we're pretty intentional about offering up the opportunity to connect with kids and with grandkids to introduce them to the idea of managing finances well. And there are a couple of big items. If you have the opportunity to talk with your kids or with your grandkids, a couple of big items that we want to make sure that you keep in mind. First of all, when it comes to kids, help them to understand about what it means to live within a budget. Now, I understand if they're 8 or 9 years old and you're giving them a small allowance, they don't need to be super consumed with that today. But as they make their way through high school and certainly through college, there can be a lot of value in helping them to understand what a budget means before they're just thrown out there into the real world and needing to learn it in real time. Understand what is income, what expenses are, and then what, if any, happens to be discretionary income, which is left over after they cover their expenses. Real big item, first big point to keep in mind there. Second big thing, we say this all the time, and yes, we say it to kids and non-kids, i.e. adults alike, teach them to live within their means. Teach them about what it means. And you may say, well, doesn't that sound like a budget? It might. But it also has to do with the kinds of decisions that they make about the stuff that they, quote, need or want. And it's important to distinguish between the two. Help kids to understand, or grandkids to understand, truly what are needs and then what are wants. They may say they absolutely need the $250 sneakers. Yeah, they're out there. No, I'm not making that up. The $250 sneakers that are out there, but that may not make a whole lot of sense financially. There may be a very nice pair of sneakers that doesn't cost $250, and helping them to understand the pros and cons of that in making those kinds of decisions. Very, very important in helping kids and grandkids to understand, so that again, when they're making those decisions on their own, they have some basis of understanding. Third big thing, and we say this constantly when we're talking with kids or with college students of all shapes, sizes, and varieties, teach them how to save. It is so much easier in our experience here at North Main Financial Group when kids understand what it means to save at an early age. Because once you build that habit into place, that's something that stays with them. And when you do it with smaller amounts, it becomes much easier when those amounts become larger because that discipline is already in place. Much, much harder if we're living all the way up to our means, and in some instances even above our means. Much, much harder to pare that down because we're creatures of habit. We get used to doing things in a certain way. So if you can instill that at an earlier age in terms of how they're managing their resources, so that if they have 10, to save 3 or 5 or 7, they don't have that much expense at that point. If they get into that kind of rhythm for that kind of thing, much, much easier later on in life. And of course, we all know of the long-term benefits of doing that kind of thing. If you'd like to reach out to us at North Main Financial Group, perhaps talk about what it means to share those kinds of things with your kids or your grandkids, or if you'd like with us to talk with them directly, we're very happy to do that as well. We do that all the time here at North Main Financial Group. Love to hear from you. NorthMainFinancial.com.